Before this video starts, I've got an announcement to make regarding the giveaway I'm running on this channel. To all of my subscribers, you can now win a free copy of Cyberpunk 2077 on a platform of your own choice. So I'll pick the winners from my subscribers, and the link to enter the giveaway will be available in the description of this video. And let me know in the comments on which platform would you guys want to win a free copy of Cyberpunk for yourself. And with that being said, let's roll the intro. Hey, what's going on guys, it's your boy Blackwoods here, and welcome back to another Cyberpunk 2077 Intel Collections. Today I'll be breaking down everything that was shown in the new Cyberpunk 2077 deep dive gameplay. I had to play the entire 15 minutes video in super slow motion and watch it back to back for at least 10 times, and finally managed to break down a lot of things that was apparently hidden in the gameplay, and a lot of new gameplay features, new character creation mode, RPG elements, and some of the solid storyline connections that you guys definitely don't want to miss out on. First, let's start off with the opening scene of the 15-minute Cyberpunk deep dive video, where not most of you guys might have noticed that the character V here is being played using a female body type, and according to CD Projekt Red, new character creation mode, we no longer will get to choose genders. And of course, we can now choose different types of body types in the game, but that however doesn't seem to be affecting the gameplay or the story dialogue immersions of the characters. The characters in Cyberpunk will still detect you as a he or she depending on the various body types you get to choose from in the character creation option. There will only be two different body types indeed available in the game, one which looks like a man and other which looks like a woman. And of course, they did not want to specify the gender for both of this because it's up to the players to choose what they want to be. If it's a male, female, or others or whatever, it's up to you guys. So the reaction from the characters in game will change according to whatever body type that you guys want to play as. In this clip, for example, you can actually see that the Netrunner mentions we as her, as we is being played using a female body type. And in another dialogue here, the Netrunner mentions we as she is ready, which just confirms that the gender being removed from the options will change nothing towards how the game is designed. So far, for those guys who have been worried about the character immersion and the character creation, I guess this would be a great news for all of you guys. Now moving on to the features of driving mechanisms of the new motorbike in Cyberpunk 2077. Riding bikes, cars, or whatever means of transportation will allow you to switch between the first person to third person modes. And looking closely at one of these clips, I actually did find out that the bikes in Cyberpunk will have gear system, and where players can now choose to manually shift the gears of your vehicle or completely even switch it to an auto mode, where there are 10 different gears that you can shift from, but the top speed of your bike is not yet to be known. While using a bike or a car, you will now get an option to enter the combat mode or exit the vehicle. Entering the combat mode will however enable your vehicle into an autopilot system where the vehicle can drive on its own using an artificial intelligence. Well, thanks to the future, of course, you can now focus on shooting your targets while your vehicle does the rest of your job. And yes, the character creation system. Man, I am so hyped about this one part of the game. You can now choose between 3 different backstories for your character V, one being the Nomad, Street Kid, and the Corporate. So first of all, let me explain to you guys on what all of these 3 different factions represent and how it will change your gameplay experience. So let's start off with Nomad. Nomad is a clan that is known for their best honesty and integrity. So if you choose to play as Nomad character, then the perks you gain will result in better conversation and interaction with other characters in the world, as people have much more trust towards the Nomad clan, seems like. Nomads are specialized at scrapyard looting and raiding fuel depots, and you will now have much more better access to some of the special parts that you might find in the scrapyard that will help you upgrade your cyber gears, or even craft some of those items, or even find some of those unique items that you might not get otherwise when you're playing as any other factions. Then comes the Street Kid. Street kids are basically one of those who have been raised by the gangs in the underworld of the Night City. These street kids have better contacts and connections with the dark side of the world, and playing as a street kid, you will now get your hands into some of the unique items that are only sold to some of the familiar faces in the black market. If you're looking to create a ruthless, badass character, then I would definitely prefer you guys to choose the street kid. And the last comes the corporate. Man, these guys, so-called the corporate characters, are those who have a backstory of being on one of the topmost positions of Night City, and these characters also have a lot of contacts in the high places and have access to some of the most important confidential informations. And these characters have backstories of ruling over the cities and putting out their own rules and regulations. Playing as a corporate will of course gain you access to some of the most very important informations and which otherwise could not be found if you're playing as any other faction. All of these three different factions will give you unique dialogue options in the game that will result in a complete change of how the story progresses. For example, in one of these dialogue clips shown in the gameplay, we plays as a street kid faction, and there are multiple options that you can choose from the dialogue in response. Where in one of these dialogues, Bridget says that we talk of the rest in the crypt, we cannot stay here. And as a response, we can choose from multiple options to respond them, but there is one unique dialogue from those options that pops up for the street kid, which says the crypt doesn't inspire confidence. As though we knows a lot about the crypt already, as he is a street kid and has been through a lot of stuff, and he definitely knows what crypt is. But playing as any other factions here would have given you a completely different dialogue option and different perks and advantage and also disadvantage in all three different factions. So it's completely up to the players to choose what type of playstyle you guys want to choose as. And of course, there are two different types of character gameplay styles that you can choose from, where you can either go as a netrunner or a strong solo. Now, most of you guys might get confused about the strong solo, as of in if you will have to play the mission in as a solo character, but that's not the case here. Playing as a solo will give your character the ability to take down enemies using stronger force and power. With better hand-to-hand combat and gunfight skill plays, the option is for those who like to play a much more action-packed and non-stealthy based guns blazing playstyle, and the Netrunner on the other hand are completely based on stealth, where you'll now have to hack into networks and use your environmental advantage to take down your enemies, or use one of their own technologies against them and turn one of their guns against them, or even block their weapons from working in order to take them down using one of your weapons itself. So Netrunner is possibly similar to what we have seen with Watch Dogs, or at least comes closer to what we have played in the Watch Dogs. So now let's dive deep into the minimaps, UI progressions, and some of the in-depth gameplay features. Starting off with the minimaps in Cyberpunk 2077, we'll show you the name of your current location that you visit around the map. Here in the screenshot, you guys can see that it says that we are in a homeless encampment, but on another gameplay screenshot where you get to ride around through the homeless shelters with the HUD turned on, it says homeless encampment zone unlocked. Now, I however do not know what the zone unlocked would mean, but I presume that it could be some sort of a fast travel zone that we can use around the map. Or this could also be one of those districts locked behind the fog of war in the map, which then unlocks when the player visits the different locations around the map, and then it stays opened for the rest of your gameplay experience. Now, while you engage in combat or enter a restricted zone, on the top left corner your health bar will be shown along with a primary and secondary equipments and gears carried in your inventory. One of them being the cyber steroids. When inhaled, will boost your player damage and incoming damage resistance power and increase the speed of health regeneration for a very limited time. Now let's move on to one of the most fun part of the breakdown, the combat system. Takedowns and eliminations in Cyberpunk will offer multiple choices for the players to decide. You can either do a lethal takedown or a non-lethal takedown when playing as a strong solo character, but then when you're playing as a netrunner, you'll get the options to either hack the enemy's Biochip and temporarily disable them, or enable the self-destruction option, which can then blow the target's brains off, which I would totally love doing, but still I would love playing as a strong solo character, which I think is pretty self-explanatory, but as you proceed through the game and upgrade your characters with better weaponizing systems and better net running equipments, you will unlock multiple new options to deal with your targets. It's completely up to the players to choose the way they want to approach a situation. Now, another important thing that I've noticed is that when you target an enemy near you, you will now get the entire data of your enemy when your crosshair is pointed at them. Like in this clip, the animal member is greeting us with some very kind words indeed, and as we point the crosshair towards the animal, you can see that the UI pops up showing the enemy's faction and their threat levels with their statistics levels based on their physical resistance, thermal resistance, chemical resistance, and electrical resistance. Yes, that was a lot of resistance right there. And you guys can choose what type of attacks that you guys want to use in order to take them out, analyzing their weakness. Right down below, it also shows the damage type the enemy is using in order to take you down, and here the animal uses an electrical attack on you. So you can either change up your inventory and get your electrical resistance increased in order to have a better chance in defending yourself against his electrical attacks. In another clip here, you can also see that we is scanning Sasquatch, who is the leader of the animals gang, and here her threat level is very high on all the 4 resistance. And it also shows on how many weak spots are available for that one particular character, which I think is a really cool idea for implementing something like that for the UI changes when it comes to RPG elements of the game. And of course, environmental destructions are present in the game, and you can now shoot through objects in the world as they get destroyed and hit the targets on the other side. Like in this small clip, we can see V shooting Sasquatch on the other side of the LED display and breaking through the object and still manages to damage the enemy. Briefly, we do get to take a look at the assault rifle gameplay, and on the bottom right corner you can actually see that you gain rifle XP as you do more damage to the enemies using this particular weapon. So these XP can be used to level up your weapons and unlock options to add more high level attachments to your weapon customizations. So if you're using a rifle, it would increase your rifle XP, or if you decide to use a melee weapon, then it would increase your melee weapon XP as well. So every weapon in Cyberpunk will have its own levels and XP that you can gain in order to level all of those weapons up. And not just that, as you overuse one of your weapons, it will tend to get overheated and will have to give a couple seconds to cool it off before you can go on another round of rampage. Now let's break down the new inventory system, store purchases, abilities, and skill trees in Cyberpunk 2077. The inventory consists of outfit sections ranging from the headgear to the footwears. Each outfit piece will have its own different perks, skills, abilities similar to what we have seen with the Ubisoft's Tom Clancy's The Division. Your character statistics will be displayed below in the right corner, and these stats can be changed by combining different types of outfits and gears by mixing up their unique perks and skill sets. You can also customize your weapons and attachments, including the new cyber gear upgrades in your inventory. The inventory will display 3 different categories of weapons, one being the primary, secondary, and side-on. And each weapons will also show the amount of DPS it can deal and its unique perks with multiple attachments. Now let's take a look at the inventory system when you're shopping around in the market. You can now add or remove multiple items of your interest in your shopping cart and pay the total amount of credits when you want to check out all at once. So this way you can now take time comparing and deciding on whether or not to buy an item or any equipment, whatever you guys want to buy, without being confused on how many items that you want to purchase all at once. By clicking L1 or R1 button on the controller, you can now switch from buying items to selling items, which is pretty similar, I think, to what we have seen with the Witcher 3 world of RPG. Now let's move on to the character perks menu, and there is a wide range of attributes and perks that you can unlock. On the top left corner, you have the main character levels on your V, and on the right is the street cred levels. The higher the street creds, the better deals you get around the market, and people around the world will get to know about whoever your character is and will have much more trust on providing additional informations and some unique items that might be sold to only some of those trusted members out there in the world. There are multiple attributes available for your character, which indeed can be upgraded as you level up and unlock better skills, which I think is pretty self-explanatory self-explanatory at this point. And on the other side, we also have something called as the cool attribute, which is sort of a skill that rushes in when your character is under pressure, and it is not how cool your character looks. Indeed, I know, because most of you guys think cool means like how cool your character looks, but that's not the case. It basically means how calmly your character deals with high pressure situations and maintain his or her cool in that one particular situation. So yeah, that's what cool basically means. It consists of 3 different perks: assassination, nerve, and sniper, which can all be upgraded over time as you progress through the game. Now let's move on to one of the most important and the most interesting part of the entire gameplay breakdown. But before you continue any further into this video, let me just warn you guys that this part of the breakdown will contain some huge story spoilers. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, then I would recommend you guys to stop watching this video right here at this point. But anyways, if you stopped watching, well, you know, please go ahead, drop a like on this video. That would really mean a lot. With that being said, let's jump back into the topic. So as we all know, that Johnny Silverhand, aka Keanu Reeves, plays a huge role in Cyberpunk 2077, and the reason behind why only we gets to see Mr. Silverhand was closed off during the gameplay, stating that the story of Johnny was for another time. But looking deep into the gameplay on a super slow motion, I've gathered up some huge information on how Johnny Silverhand got to be a part of Wii's cyber life. On playing the gameplay in super slow motion, I've come across one of these small clips where V talks to one of the main characters, Bridget, who is the leader of the Voodoo Boys, who seems to be the sole reason of what happened to Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077. So Bridget explains V here that she has cut out a unique piece of Silverhand's engram from his Biochip, which can only be removed if you kill Johnny Silverhand, unfortunately. And the Biochip is a small chip that operates the entire cyber wire of the body located in the brain. So V manages to work with the Voodoo Boys and gets the chip implanted on herself as shown in the opening scenes of the gameplay demo. So in this clip, V is undergoing a procedure of cooling her body down, as implanting Johnny Silverhand's Biochip inside you will turn your human body into a computerized processor that can be used to control the network access all over the walls of the cybernet. In a recent PC Gamers articles, they actually mentioned on how all of this works and why it is that you need such a big support network to access cyberspace. What's the actual danger behind all of this? Basically, you would be fried. In 2020, your brain would be fried. This is the reason V gets into the bathtub, because her body has to be cooled. You become a CPU that's running the whole thing through your body. You have to be cooled down because otherwise you get fried. So this whole setup has to be there so that you can access this, but there are points in the story where you will have to do it. So once the Silverhand's Biochip was implanted into V, Placid from the Voodoo Boys tries to use Johnny Silverhand as a vessel to place his watch over V's activities, and this will gain him access to what V sees and does in the world using Johnny Silverhand's consciousness inside him. Due to which Johnny Silverhand's consciousness was awakened to V and was able to communicate with V and was only visible to V's eyes, like some sort of ghost that haunts V wherever he goes and any decision that he makes, so he can actually communicate with Johnny Silverhand, which I think is a really cool thing, because I get to speak to Keanu Reeves in person and, you know, share my feelings and whatsoever, man. As shown in the end of the gameplay, the players can now have the options to choose on how they want to maintain their relationship with Johnny Silverhand, where now you can either choose to make friends with him or even turn him into your enemy, as it's completely left to the players to choose from your own actions. But I don't think any of you guys want to make enemies with Silverhands. Come on, man, let's accept the fact. On another clip where V tries to connect his memory with the Netrunner's agent to steal their data, but something goes wrong, which leaves V's Biochip to get corrupted. The reason why is because if you look closely into one of these instructions in the decoding system, which was like secretly hidden in one of those glitch animations out there, so then you can now actually see that it says only CC35 certified and DHS 5th class class officers are allowed to manipulate, access, or disable the device. So apparently V does not hold the access to manipulating the Netrunner's data and ends up frying his own chip, and this could possibly lead to V escaping the Silverhand's vessel linked with the Voodoo Boys, and is no longer a host or a vessel for the Voodoo Boys anymore. But Johnny's Biochip somehow still works inside V and is still able to see and listen to Johnny's Silverhand. Looking back at one of those previous Cyberpunk 2077 cinematic trailers, V and Jackie try to escape the Voodoo Boys' attack against them in order to steal the chip, but V tries to trade Johnny Silverhand's Biochip with one of the underworld kingpin gangs who was introduced to V by Jackie to help him make some money and also gain some contacts in the underworld. But we all know how the deal ended up going bad as shown in the trailer. V ends up shooting the guy who he made the deal with to trade in the Biochip in order to make a large amount of money. There are much more information about the entire Cyberpunk 2077 storyline, which I will be breaking it down for you guys as I do more research on it by collecting all the gameplays and data shown off so far by CD Projekt Red. I'll try analyzing and breaking down much deeper into all of these gameplays, and I'll let you guys know on every small detail I find out about Cyberpunk 2077 right here on this channel. So this channel I've completely dedicated to Cyberpunk 2077 content, and if you guys are a fan of Cyberpunk yourself, then you should consider subscribing to this channel and help the community out here on reaching our first 8,000 subscribers goal. And making this video, of course, took a lot of research and effort, so if you guys could just leave a like, that would really mean the world to me. So please do not forget to smash that like button, as that is all it takes. It's such a small thing. Please go ahead and smash that. That would really mean a lot to me. With that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day ahead, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's daily dose of Cyberpunk 2077. Until then, take care fans, and peace out.